so that we can do a real estate lunch and learn. The Road to Approval is an academy and a community that we have created to walk our um, homies through the real estate process, whether you're purchasing your first home or getting started with investing, increasing your portfolio wherever you find yourself in the process of purchasing your home. This is, the Road to Approval is a place where we can support you with that. So every month, I come together so that we all can do lunch together and go through the process of purchasing a home. So this is step 8 in our 10-step process. And I'm really excited about having you all here. So what we're going to do is make sure wherever you're checking in from, you like the video, you comment, you subscribe. Make sure you're asking any questions that you may have. Even if I don't see them live, I will respond to you personally, or maybe even do a video about it, because I can promise you, if you have a question, someone else will have a question as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So here we go. The Road to Approval Lunch and Learn, hosted by yours truly, Adelai Brown. Today's topic is protecting your investment and the clear to close. So a little bit about me. I am your Heart Homes agent and the Heart Coach with over 15 years of experience in real estate. I'm a heart work practitioner. I focus on emotional intelligence and how that impacts us in living on purpose, pursuing our dreams and our goals. I'm a realtor, been guiding individuals from renting to ownership to wealth building. And I am an advocate for you. I'm an advocate for you to create wealth, for you to generate wealth, not just for your lifetime, but for the generations that follow you through authentic living, right? This is not just about following somebody else's blueprint. This is about you getting the tools and the skills that you need so that you can follow your own blueprint and do the work that God has called you to do. My mission is simple. Every heart deserves a home, and I believe there's a home for every heart. And that's why we're here today. So I'm really excited about having y'all here, really excited about everything that's happening. And yeah, we're going to keep it going. Where we are in the process. So far, we've been doing our monthly lunch and learns. This is our 8th month doing it. And we've secured the right realtor. This is where we are in the process. Step 2, your budgeting and goal setting. That's a big part of you being able to find out what your affordability is, find out where you can live, what you do have access to. This is how we set that up. You want to make sure you're budgeting and setting goals. And in our program, our agents, our coaches work with you to budget, to set goals, and also work with you throughout the entire process so that you can see yourself as an owner and then an owner multiplied, right? So step 3, we look at getting approved. We walk you through that process when you look at the different types of financing that you want to obtain. Are you going conventional? Are you going FHA? Are you a veteran and you can use your VA loan? Are you moving out in rural places and you want to do, USDA? We can look at what's best for you in the moment that you want to buy, and we kind of go from there. Step 4, we start shopping. Once you get approved, that's when it gets exciting, right? When you get approved, you can start shopping. I mean, once you, after getting approved, you start shopping for your home. That's when you're looking online and looking at all the pictures and looking at the locations of the homes and deciding, would you want to live there? Could you see you there, yourself there? Could you see your family there? That's the part that people usually get really excited about when we start getting into step 4. But I'm really excited about how my team and I are able to work with you through steps 1 and 3 to get to that point where we can really shop with confidence, right? Step 5, we discuss what the offer is and how we actually negotiate a contract to purchase real estate, right? Step 6 is your due diligence and inspection process. This is usually the scariest part of the home buying process, in my opinion. This is when you're getting all your inspections and you're starting to work with the lender and find out what do you need to be properly, because you can be pre-qualified, but you want to make sure you're approved. So you can move forward productively. So this is a lot of times the part, step 6 is where the deal is made, or it's like how they say you make or break the deal in step 6 during your due diligence process. And then step 7 is your appraisal and insurance. I also have an insurance company, so we work with our clients to help them try to get the best rates as possible, whether it's with my company or another company. But every investment that you have should be protected. And when you're purchasing a home, especially if you're financing and getting a mortgage, they're going to make sure that that home is worth what you're purchasing it for, which is your appraisal. And they're going to make sure that it's insured and your investment is protected. So that's another thing to think about. And now today we are at step 8, protecting your investment and the clear to close, right? So get your lunch, get all your things together. I actually just had my lunch right before we got started. So you guys go ahead and get your lunch together, get settled in so that we can move forward through our lunch and learn for today. So what does clear to close mean, right? What exactly does that mean? A clear to close means your lender has completed their review and is ready to fund your loan. They're ready for you to sign your mortgage. They're saying, we're going to loan you this money. This house costs $425,000. We're going to loan you 410,000 or 420,000, whatever type of financing you have, and you are cleared to close, meaning we have all the information we need, we have all the paperwork we need so that we can fully fund this loan, right? So this typically means your loan is approved, your employment has been verified, your income has been verified, all your documents have been completed, and your closing is scheduled. Typically, your closing is scheduled when you submit your purchase offer. The closing date is already set, but sometimes when you're going through the underwriting process, the due diligence process, closing dates change. I like to tell people closing dates are often like due dates. You don't always have babies born on their due dates, right? Homeowners aren't always born on the date that is originally set, but it doesn't mean your date isn't set. Okay, so that's something I want you to think about. All right, so remember, you're almost there, but don't make major financial changes yet. So the clear to close usually goes out of it. It is supposed to go out 3 days before closing, at least no less than 3 days before closing. But that does not mean you are completely good to go. That means that the mortgage company or bank, whatever the lending agency, the institution you're using is, they said they have everything they need. Now, you want to make sure you don't change anything. So when you get a clear to close, you don't quit your job. When you clear to close, you don't go out and finance the new furniture you're going to put in your house. You don't go buy a car. You don't go let somebody run a Lowe's credit card credit check on you because now you want to make changes as soon as you move in. You wait until you are officially in that home. You've already signed those papers and that house is yours before you do anything different. Whatever you have presented to this lender, this financial institution that is paying for this, that is exactly what it is that is exactly what it is that you want to make sure you keep the same until you have gone through the closing process. Until you've signed your closing documents, protect your approval. Okay, I was already alluding to this, but this is how important it is. I cannot tell you how many people I know have missed out on purchasing a home because they moved too fast. They did not protect their approval, One of the things we do in the Road to Approval Academy, what our approval coaches do, we make sure that you are protecting your approval. So one you want to avoid opening any new credit cards, financing furniture or appliances, buying a new vehicle, large bank deposits or withdrawals without documentation. And forget the without documentation, just don't do it. Don't change your job if it's much possible, right? And if you do, make sure you're advancing. It's a better job, you making more money. But try to avoid doing any of that during that short time frame of you getting the clear to close and you actually closing on your home, right? You don't want to make any sudden changes. They have approved you and are willing to fund the loan based on the information you presented. So if that information changes, they have to go back in and review everything. And you don't want to do that to yourself. When and another part of the closing process is you and your agent will typically do a final walkthrough of the property. That means that you walk through, and the purpose of this is to make sure that your property is in the condition that it was when you went under contract, or whatever condition you as the buyer and the seller agreed to during your due diligence process. And once that due diligence process came to an end, whatever you all agreed to when it came to the state of the home and the repairs, the seller is agreeing that they're going to transfer ownership with that home being in that condition. Okay, so when you do your final walkthrough, typically 24 to 48 hours before closing, I like to try to do my final walkthrough a couple hours before closing, just because things can change. Now, weather can happen, trees can fall in a house, a tornado can come through. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. It is very tropical. We have thunderstorms, tropical storms, hurricanes will come through. So I like to wait until the last minute to walk through, because I don't want you to come and sometimes you have to do this, but when you do the walkthrough too early, you're just leaving too much time open for error that you may take on that you did not sign up for, right? You want to make sure the property condition is the same as it was when you agreed upon the terms that you agreed to. And you want to make sure the home is move-in ready if is what you agreed to. Some people buy homes that require repairs, they're not move-in ready, but those that was a part of the terms. And so we all are in agreement that this is how it's supposed to be. Some people make repairs, some sellers make repairs, some don't. But whatever your terms were, that's what the final walkthrough is. You want to make sure that that home, you're receiving ownership with the home in the condition that you agreed upon. When you go to your closing, usually the lawyer's office, the attorney's office is going to reach out to you and give you information about what you need to bring to closing. Now, I've seen closings where people have had to bring all kind of various documents, proof of like proof of citizenship, things like that. You will know this information prior to you going to closing if you're working with a great attorney. We work with great attorneys that let our clients know what they need to bring to closing so that they're not caught off guard. But typically when you go to closing, you want to have a government issued ID. You want to make sure that you've already transferred the necessary funds you need to transfer, or you have a certified check for whatever money you are bringing. You don't want to write a personal check. You get a certified check. Some people will say you can, but just to protect yourself, you get a certified check. Proof of homeowners insurance, a lot of times, by the time you get to the closing table and it's time to sign, the lender and the attorney has already verified that you have proof of homeowners insurance. But sometimes they don't, and you may have to present that there. I've seen people had to present other information that came up during the underwriting process before they got the clear to close. So a part of the clear to close was bring proof of this to attorney, bring proof of that. And so they had to do that. And so whatever it is, your lender, this is why you want a good agent. You want a good realtor that you're working with, because you're dealing with the lender, you're dealing with the attorney, you're dealing with insurance producers at times. You're dealing with contractors. So there's a lot of moving parts when you're going through a home buying process, and you want to work with someone that knows what to expect, knows what's expected of you, knows what's expected of them, but also what's expected of the other professionals that you are working with through the process. Because the checks and balances there to make sure that everything you need is taken care of in this process. And we also want to make sure that um that you have everything that you need, and we want to make sure that everything is taken care of so that you can leave that closing table with the keys to your home, because that's what it's all about. So another thing I always advise my clients to do is ask questions. Now, I typically like for you to try to ask as many questions before we get to the closing table, because the closing table is the last moment. Once that attorney goes through all of those papers and you sign, once those papers are signed and they review everything, typically the attorney will have to send those papers. If you're getting a mortgage, your closing attorney has to present those papers to the lending institution that you are working with so that they can have the documents on file, they can approve everything, and then the loan is fully funded. Then that's when the closing is official. So even when you sign on the dotted lines, that does not always mean that it's completely done. You sign on the dotted lines, the lender has to review the documents, and then they say, hey, we've transferred all the funds. The seller got their money. The buyer, the mortgage company has paid the seller. The buyer now is, the owner of the home with the mortgage that they have, and you're able to move on into ownership. But these are the steps that you go through before you get there. Now, every closing is a little different, just like I like to compare it to labor. Every labor, the same thing is happening. You're having a baby, but the way that baby comes about can be a little different. I've done closes in people's homes. I've done closing in offices. I've seen closings done in, remotely, right? You don't always have to be in person to do a closing. You can purchase property from out of state. You can have a seller out of state or a buyer out of state when you're selling and purchasing a home. I'm licensed to do real estate in South Carolina and Georgia. However, I can work with agents in all of the states and territories when it comes to doing real estate because of the way we all work together. So you can have a closing wherever you are, right? As long as you can find an attorney. Some states don't even require attorneys to do closings. So just some things to think about. And remember, these monthly lunch and learns are all about giving you the information that you need so that you can be well informed. Like I tell my clients, and when I meet with individuals, customers out in the community, listen, I'm not trying to be an expert in everything, but I just want to know, like I tell people, I know a little enough to be dangerous. I know enough to know I need to get the expert to help me with that. When it comes to real estate and business and insurance, protecting your assets, that is why we are here. This is why we grow hard equity, personal, relational, and financial wealth that we obtain through authentic living. And this is how we do it. Closing on properties, purchasing real estate, one of the major ways we do it. So coming up next month is step 9 in the process, closing day, get the keys. I talked a little bit about this today. However, we'll talk more about it next month. But when you get that clear to close, I'm gonna just go back to that screen. It's really all about protecting your approval. If you don't get nothing else from today's meeting, remember, clear to close, protect your approval. Don't get any new credit cards. Don't go out and buy things. Don't tap into your savings. Don't do anything with your 401k and your investments, your annuities, whatever you got going on, whatever you show that financial institution, you need to keep your profile that same way. Your credit needs to stay the same. Your financial profile needs to stay the same until you're able to close on your home. Okay? That's the biggest thing. Don't mess up your approvals by getting too excited about getting a clear to close. Because I've seen it happen and it's sad. People quit their jobs, they go buy things and finance things, and it causes them to miss out on the purchase. And I don't want that to be you. All right. So coming up next month, we're going to talk specifically about closing day, getting your keys, what to expect after closing, and just a few tips about actually becoming a homeowner. Okay. And I want to tell you a little bit about our Road to Approval Academy. So, our Road to Approval Academy is a community where we work with you. And where I got to update it, it's actually bi weekly teaching. You have approval coaching community. You come in, we do an assessment on you when you come in to see where you are. We do our approval readiness assessment, and then you get your readiness report, and then we work through the steps with you. We work you through the step-by-step buying roadmap. You have a supportive community. This is for those that are thinking about moving from you thinking about it to I want to be an owner, right? You want to get into investing. You want to purchase your first home, or maybe you have a home or you have some land and you know that you can generate some type of income from it with real estate, but you don't know what to do with it. This program will help you with that. This is a place where you can work with trusted professionals. It's not just us as realtors. We'll have lenders come in and talk with you. We'll have attorneys come in and talk with you. We'll have contractors come in and talk with you. We'll have investment financial specialists come in and talk with you, because all of these individuals you will come into contact with when you have a robust real estate portfolio, even just owning a home. These are individuals that you come into contact with. And a lot of people aren't getting in the game because they don't know how to get started. And so, in my years of working with real estate and working with clients and just seeing the needs of the community, the Road to Approval Academy is great for those that don't want to just be out here on TikTok and Google and trying to put pieces together. You want to be with a trusted community of individuals that want to see you win over and over and over again. This is the place for you to be. Registration is 197. Membership is $97 a month. And the benefits that you get from this, the personal, professional development, the financial literacy, budgeting, goal setting, all of this comes with this program. And you will be blessed to be here. And if you'd like to learn more about that, I would love to set up a complimentary discovery session with you so we can talk more about your real estate goals and how the Road to Approval Academy might be able to help you. The next steps, let's keep building. Let's schedule your Heart Homes Discovery Consult that we talked about. Join the Road to Approval program. Get your pre-approval updated. Start your personalized search. Once you get approved, let's get you out shopping. Get with me, get with one of our prospective living agents so that we can help you along this process. It's time for you to win in real estate. So before you leave today, choose one action to take before the next session, right? Let your homies know what you're going to be doing. Share your insight, um, below this video. You can share. We love for you to follow us on Facebook, Adelai Brown Real Estate, Instagram, Adelai Brown Real Estate. You can comment on YouTube at Heart Coach Talk. But let us know what are some of the insights that you got from joining us on this Lunch and Learn. And was this helpful? I'd love to hear from you. And let's stay connected for future webinars. We will send you the information directly. I would love for you to join the Road to Approval classroom with me live. You can come in and ask your questions and be here with me live and we can communicate and talk here as well. Check out my Linktree, Linktree /Heart Homes. You can sign up and get the information sent directly to your email so that you can join us and get notifications about our monthly Lunch and Learns. What stood out for you today? What questions do you have? And how can I support your next step? Want you to think about that. And this is my contact information. This is me, your girl, Adelai Brown with Heart Homes Realty. Every heart deserves a home, and there's a home for every heart. My phone number is here, area code 854-900-3977. Email hearthomesland@gmail.com. You connect with me at Linktree Heart Homes Realty and Adelai Brown Heart Homes Realty. So let's stay connected. Let's work with one another. And let's continue to stay on this road to approval because every heart deserves a home. And I really believe it's time for you to get your home in the heart that's specifically designed for you in this season, right? Remember, your journey matters, your home matters, and your heart matters the most. So I thank you all for being here. I will see you at next month Lunch and Learn. Remember, we're here every second Tuesday of the month. We do our Lunch and Learns. Next month, we're talking about closing day, getting the keys, what you can expect as you walk into home ownership. And make sure you follow and stay connected so you can learn about upcoming webinars, resources we have, and the tools that we have to support you along your journey. So this has been a wonderful experience with you today. I love doing these lunch and learns. I love getting on and talking about the process. I've gotten feedback from you all letting me know that this does help you. It is encouraging, it is uplifting, and we're going to continue to do this. Remember, homies don't let homies do real estate alone. We are here together to support one another, to love on one another, and to encourage each other to win. Okay? I am Adelai Brown, your heart realtor and approval coach. I thank you for being here with me. And until next time, you all have a wonderful day. Bye bye.